hence the anger and show of anger and real anger. These are the aspects that we are trying to basically understand in such a manner that we really can even use anger, not in a negative way, but at times in a very positive way in our life. But at any point of time, we must make sure neither should we hurt ourselves nor should we hurt anybody else. Show of anger gives you that particular opportunity where you can completely dramatize your anger in such a manner that the other person wouldn't feel so hurt as it happens when you are truly angry and your entire physical body language follows it completely. You know, a person can understand when you are truly very badly angry, and the moment you have lost complete control over your emotions, and when you are using language or using your physical language completely differently, and the persons who are seeing it can so easily discern, they can understand what's happening to you. And what happens during anger, every individual, it has a prelude to it. Anger first demands your unconsciousness. Please try to understand this. Anger first demands this prelude. What? There has to be smoke. There has to be smoke. That means before the anger, the fire comes, you'll find that there is some kind of a cloud in your mind. You start to feel so differently, and inside there is something brewing up. And during that brewing up phase, it's like a smoke, it's like a smog, which simply gradually covers your mind in such a manner that you are not able to remain any longer conscious, or rather the 5% of your brain, which is absolutely the one which is the conscious part, cognitive part of your thinking, where you can analytically think, you can pause, you can understand how, where, when. All these are gone, and suddenly you are into your old mode, your mode that is already there in your subconscious package. Anger that came to you previously, anger that was expressed through you previously, anger that manifested through you previously, they are all stored in your subconscious mind. So that's a reference point. Anytime such a situation happens, instantly our brain connects to those reference points where we already have stored energy of anger. So in that store, instantly there is a quick, in a millionth part of a second, the brain can immediately get its own feedback from it, and accordingly the reactions are also very similar. That's the reason you'll find most people behave the same way if the situations are very similar, because the triggers from outside, the impetus from outside, the moment it comes, automatically from inside, the old mode of managing that situation or taking over that situation, you lose your control, and then that takes over. The subconscious mind takes over, and the conscious mind fades away. That's the reason. The prelude to anger is unconsciousness. So please try to understand, show of anger is not possible until such time you have practiced sufficiently, continuously, for a longer period of time, with a persistent kind of a practice of what? Mindfulness, awareness, of trying to create a pause between your thoughts and actions, between your thoughts and deeds, between your thoughts and its translation. All of it is possible provided you have been trying on small things of your daily chores of your daily life. If it's not when you are angry with somebody that you can show up anger, it's not always possible. My point is, try to create healthy habits when you are on a normal mode of activities. Try to create more moments of mindfulness when things are going okay, normal. You are not provoked into anger or grief or anything by which is like a kind of a sudden, no, you are in a normal state. That's when gradually you must train your brain to understand how the brain can slow down instead of running to take care and fix the problems of this world. Because the brain has been taught to do it over a long period of time, it continuously goes on firefighting different problems of life in a very similar tone because it is just repeating the past. But that's when I am asking you to just take care of your daily life in such a way that every day you try to add more value to your life. You add more good habits to your life. You try to do things by which your habitual patterns are gradually shifted, gradually changed, gradually made to come into a new height of its evolved state of consciousness. It is possible. It's very easy. Once we decide in our heart, once we decide in our mind that I need to do things like this, my first stumble is that my own habitual pattern. It will not allow me to do it. For sure, even if I want to do something right, even if I don't want to be angry, and even if I decide from now on I am not going to lose my temper just like this, I will keep a watch on my anger. Next time it comes, I will be alert and I will not be angry. I'm telling you, it will be difficult. Because the moment the anger comes, it doesn't give you any prior notice, it just comes. It is this very sudden thing. And it triggers so fast because you have been doing it for so many times. It triggers so fast. It's such a reflex action that instantly you are in a mode of unconsciousness. The moment that impetus that comes from outside, that trigger that comes from outside, that provocation that comes from outside, the moment it comes, the same situation happens. For a moment, your mind simply loses that particular window of consciousness. And suddenly, it shifts into unconscious mode. And the moment it shifts into unconscious mode, it is now gripped so quickly and immediately by your past, old, habitual pattern. So this past takes over, the present is gone, and it creates a very, very difficult future. Painful future because you repeated the past. In the present, you could not just be available to your present. To show anger, you have to be available in the present. That's the most important point that you all have to keep in mind. If you really don't want to spoil your health and damage your health, or at the same time not damage the environment and others, then you have to practice what? Mindfulness in such a manner that you do things of daily life more mindfully, more consciously. As I always said, if you are walking, make sure at times you walk consciously. If you are seeing at times, try to see things consciously. Create a pause. Don't do the same thing, same way again and again and again till it becomes absolutely an automated, mechanical process. We have to break the rut of our mechanical process of living. Most people today are suffering just because they cannot change their old mechanical mode of living their life. Whether they are conscious about it or they are unconscious about it, they are pained, they suffer only because of their own habits. They suffer because of their own patterns. They suffer because of their own mindset. They suffer because of their own attitudinal defects. It's nothing to do with what's happening outside. Take it from me. It has nothing to do with what's happening. However difficult the outside could be, however challenging the outside could be, however the circumstantially you may be really in a really tough situation, but still, if you can manage to gradually grow your mind and reach a stage where you can maintain the calm of your mind from inside, if you're anchored to your spirit self, you're anchored to your witnessing consciousness, if you practice being separate from every objective things that is happening to you, the more subjective experience you have in your day-to-day life, and more you try to detach yourself from the objective things that is outside of you, then what happens? Over a period of time, this accumulated self-discipline, please try to note this word, self-discipline, because you are not imposing it upon yourself. You are trying to do it because you love yourself. You are trying to do it because you want your inner peace. You want the peace of your mind. It is not selfishness to have an experience of inner bliss, inner peace, inner happiness. This is all we are living for. But how do you attain to this? Because contrary to this deeper urge for all of us to have a very peaceful mind, vibrationally a very harmonic vibration, which is opposites happen all the time. And the question that often bothers us is, why this kind of things happen to me? Why am I to find myself like this? What is the answer? And then over a period of time, you feel angry, because the moment what you expect and what happens, there is a widening gap between your expectation and the external situations and circumstances. Then what happens? Automatically, the wider the gap, the more the irritation from inside. So you chew it. At times you chew your negative emotions, but then you are chewing, but you are just suppressing, and almost like it's a balloon. You can just suppress one side, and the other side it comes up because it's there. So whatever energy, because ultimately we are working with our energies. So whatever energy that we have inside of us, if we are not able to transform our negative energies into positive energy, we cannot see anything great happening to us. So please meditate regularly in order to bring about more pauses in your life, more quiet time in your life, so that you can allow your brain to slow down. It is always in a beta state where it is randomly vibrating, continually thinking all the time. So whenever you find little time to yourself, when you are not otherwise occupied or otherwise busy, or you are otherwise doing some things which is absolutely expected of you on a daily basis, even for your earning your bread or maintaining your family, or attending to any of your social tasks, other than that, you will find there are moments when either you can quietly sit and then worry about your future, or you can quietly sit and then go inside and catch those moments of mindfulness. When you are able to catch those moments of mindfulness, that is also the time you try to bring about that calmness of mind and impregnate into your subconscious mind higher affirmative truths. That deep inside, I am compassionate, I am loving, I am caring, I love everyone. I feel compassion for all of them who have possibly hurt me before, who are trying to hurt me even now. But deep inside I find that the moment I'm connected to my spiritual self, I feel that expansion. I feel every other person that is there in this world is nothing but an expansion of my own soul spirit. If I am an Atman in my spiritual self, then the person who is hurting me is also an Atman. but bodily identified, and at the same time driven by his or her own programs, pre-programmed notions, may be behaving or doing things in a particular way which may be hurting me, but at the same time, imagine if that same Atman would have a different kind of package of mind where there is more compassion, more love, more harmony and more peace. Such a person, do you think, would ever hurt anyone in this world? Such a person would ever need to even cause any pain and suffering to anybody? No. Always, at least for me, I take it for granted. If any other person is trying to hurt me, or if any other person is trying to create some kind of situations which is very unpleasant around, then that person deep inside is very frustrated. That person deep inside is not satisfied with himself or herself. That person needs more of our compassion and love and support than our anger, than how we express our frustration about that other person's behavioral patterns. And one thing you can be rest assured, anger cannot be won with anger. Frustrations cannot be won with frustrations. Any negative emotion cannot be won again with negative emotion. Eye for eye is never an answer for any solution in a world which is completely managed, governed by the dharma. And that dharma is what? The dharma is simple. That the moment we bring about that aspect of compassion in our heart, love in our heart, the energy inside of us changes. The moment the energy inside of us changes, then that energy is not contained in our body only, that energy is not contained in our brain and mind only, but it spills over around. So if I continually try and try and try to bring about a change in my inner thinking pattern, if I am not always repeating my old thinking patterns, if I start thinking fresh, new, and every time those old thoughts, old friends visit me with their old patterns, I should be able to recognize them and with folded hands just tell that I know why you have come to me. You came before and I always accepted you, and I went with you and created mess in my life. But now I know that was because I was unconscious, because I was sleeping inside of me at that time. But by God's grace now I am gradually trying to wake up from my slumber of ignorance and unconsciousness. Please cooperate with me. To be frank, at this moment, I don't need you anymore. Please change yourself to what I am thinking at this moment. And my thought is this: compassion, love, forgiveness is a much better alternative for my personal peace. I'm not talking about how generous I am to others. It's not about how the others are going to talk about me, that I am a very loving person, I'm a very caring person, I'm a very compassionate person, how they're going to adore me, how they're going to give me all the accolades of this social life. That's not the idea at all. The idea is very simple. First and foremost, I want to be rich. I want to be rich. And I have found mere money doesn't give me richness. Mere possessions doesn't give me richness. Rather, more money, more possession, more wealth brings me to ages of anger, frustration, and a different me than what I am truly inside of me, in my deeper essence, which is pure and perfect. So all of this, they're not just words. It's not that these words are very beautiful to hear, but my point is, these are practicable. It's only by practice we can develop the skill by which you can be an actor on the stage, where You are a lovely, good person, but at this moment you have been given a role of an angry man. And here you are enacting with dialogue which is already being scripted and handed over to you, and you have got it in your brain, and now you have to deliver that with huge anger on your eyes and body, and you know deep inside you are not angry. You know deep inside this anger is only an acting, because the camera is on, the crews are all over, everybody is there, and I'm giving a shot, and this is all it is. And once that is over, cut, and then I'm back to my seat. Maybe I'm enjoying my coffee. Maybe I'm enjoying my friends' gossips. The whole idea is this, that particular person on this stage, or possibly, giving their shots for their films and all that, all of it happens because mentally that person is prepared, knows that this is not me. This is excess character I am trying to portray, and that character is a character of an angry person. But I am not an angry person. I am trying to enact the role of an angry person. So acting anger or showing anger is more like you are playing an actor's role on the stage of life. And if an actor can do it, why can't you, through your regular practice of meditation, lift yourself up to a stage wherein you can see whatever you are doing is separate from you. Whatever is happening outside in the objective world is separate from you. You are not what is happening outside, because so many things happen in your life and they're all changed. Nothing is there. It's an impermanent, ever-changing flux of life. That's what life is all about, continually changing. So the more I become meditative, mindful, grateful, compassionate, loving, and more I'm centered, this word is more important to me. The more I'm centered. So when I'm saying I'm on the center, then there is a periphery. There is a circumference. Don't you think so? The moment I'm saying in the center, that means there is a periphery. There is a circumference. Now deep inside, in the center, what is there? There is absolute peace. An infinite potential of light, love, care, compassion, everything that you ultimately attribute to godly qualities, or anything and everything that you ultimately attribute to the entire concept of supreme divinity. That supreme divinity is in the center of our beingness. But because we have strayed away from it, because we have moved away from the center, and we have always been associated with our periphery, that is the objective part of our life, this body, these feelings, these thoughts, these are all the objects of my subject. All these are happening outside of me. Otherwise, how on earth I would even know it? To know, I have to be separate. Anything that I know is separate from me. If anybody comes and sits before me, and if I see that person, obviously that person is separate from me. To know that somebody has come, is sitting in front of me, is a first concept of subjective experience of an objective person, isn't it? I am experiencing, I know this man. I saw him before. I talked with him before. All of it is between the two, but this is the objective part, related to my brain, related to mind, related to my consciousness. But who is the witness of this? My inner core, the center of myself. Though on a daily level, in a daily practice, if you don't bring about that sense of your separate center within you, which is the very storehouse of all powers in its infinitum, in its intrinsic divine purity and perfection. That's the reason deep inside you are a sinless person. Deep inside every one of us are sinless persons. But yes, the moment you see persons, the more identified they are with their body, the more identified they are with their mind, the more identified they are with their emotional patterns, the more identified they are with the world they find themselves in, either in the corporate world with its at times very difficult, challenging situation, or at times the family life where family relationship got so sour that you really struggle to come to a state of harmony and peace. Deep inside you are calm, but outside circumstances, situations are very rough and tough. Your daily practice of meditation can gradually bring you closer to your center within. So meditation is more a centering exercise. Meditation that way is more how you are trying to unplug from the external objective world and you are plugging into your witnessing consciousness. How you are trying to plug in to just feel your beingness. How you are trying to bring about a state where just being focused with your mind, your breaths, you are breathing in and you are breathing out, and you are feeling gradually the brain is slowing down and your mind is calmer. With a calmer mind, you can approach the center within slowly and gradually, but steadily, if you can persist and continuously keep your practice on. Do you have any questions? To begin with, I said that in case if you have any questions that you can ask. So finally, I can gradually then go towards the conclusion that yes, you can manage to overcome this negative emotion that's called anger, provided you recognize that anger is not your enemy. Anger is not your enemy. Provided you recognize that anger is your own child. And maybe that child needs more attention. Maybe that child needs little more hug from you, little more acceptance from you. First, accept your negative emotion. Don't try to fight with them. Don't try to react with them. Don't try to push them out of you. Don't try to do anything by which you create a kind of a resistance. It only would help that negative emotion to get your power and become more powerful. It's more like the more you resist, your power is going into anger, and the anger gets more empowered and your power is diminishing. So you are losing your power. Anger as a habitual pattern is becoming more and more powerful. Now tell me, who is the gainer and who is the loser here? See, ultimately we need to understand these things, because it's only when we understand we can incorporate these wisdom, these thoughts, these insights into our day-to-day life. It's only when we apply in our day-to-day life the wisdom of the great sages and seers that after all, if you are not able to manage your own mind, nobody else can do it for you. As much as if you are not able to digest your food that you eat, nobody else can do it for you. You eat, you digest, you metabolize, you have your energy, you are in action. In the same tone, any of the change in the mind and the emotions and the thoughts and the overall life outside of you, because whatever is inside is what you see outside. Whatever is inside That's what is mirrored outside, reflected outside. Your outside, if it is peaceful, happy, beautiful, you can be rest assured your inside is peaceful, happy, and beautiful. If your outside is very, very difficult, challenging, painful, whatever it is, look inside, it's time. You'll find your inside may also be equally in a very disturbed state. So until unless you bring about a state of some kind of practice to calm your brain, to calm your mind, you will not be able to see a changed world that you so much dream to see. What is the question? I struggle, entrenched, smoldering resentment. This is from Anne Shannon, I'm reading it out. I struggle, entrenched, smoldering resentment, judgment and rage toward those who support evil politicians blatantly lying, manipulating, fomenting fear and oppression and dismantling democracy. Anma, we always have to keep in mind that when you are in a state of fretting, resentment, you are angry, you are frustrated, and anything, all the things that you have mentioned there, all of it nothing but different shades and colors that is of the same emotion, which is negative. Each of the things that you have mentioned on a very personal level, happening to you, I'm not talking about the world, I'm just taking you as my subject of study. So when I take you as my subject of study, then I need to see what is your cause of your suffering. Because I see you in pain, I see you in suffering, I see you in a state of, what should I say, in a disturbed, not a very peaceful state of your mind. But then, when I see this, I also see simultaneously, you are not losing your peace because you did not achieve something in your personal life. It's not it. It's not that you are frustrated because you have been a flop, a failure. No, that's not the situation here. The situation here is that when you see in the world outside what the politicians and the world of politics or the world of corporations and the politics in the corporates and the world of all those so-called people who have immense power in their, controlling power in their hands. All of this, because see, it is not, you can't just blame only politicians, only people who are in the corporates, only somebody up there. It's like so many factors of evil powers, hostile powers, they are joining hands together, hand in gloves with all those who are working with similar such mindset of ultimately controlling this world, of ultimately controlling the economics, ultimately controlling powers in their hand so that they can rule the world. This is a typical, hugely demonic power of individual ego inflated into a huge dimension. At an individual level, you find some ordinary person, showing some anger, frustration, or whatever, and very egotistical. So what? Who bothers? Tell me who bothers? Who cares for such anger? Who even pays any attention to such anger? But yes, those people who have gone high into such power lobbies by their own personal power, because of their own might, and they start to influence the larger masses of people through their own political maneuvering and manipulations. Now, if you are really interested to see a better world, first and foremost, you have to make sure you don't lose your inner poise. You can't be angry, because if you are angry, if you are frustrated, if you are full of resentment, if you are in fire, in rage inside of you, then that energy which is generating inside of you is not at all healing for this universe, healing for this nature, healing for this particular environment that you want to see something different. Because anything that you want to see happening outside of you, if you want to see better politician, better economists, better corporate people, better environment, better things in this world, people who love each other, care for each other, and in a harmonic vibratory field, all of it, first and foremost, you must incorporate all of it inside of you. That means if you don't integrate you as a person, if you don't give up all these resentments, all this anger and frustration, utterly offer it to the universe, and then gradually, why? Because if you offer it to the universe, the universe can take care of it, because the universe is much larger in its intelligence. It knows what is good and what is bad. But individually, what can you do? Individually, you first garner all your strengths. First garner all your positive energies. First garner everything that has been good with you. So the moment you become stronger, you become more stable, you become more deeper, you become more available to the universal higher forces of wisdom and power and energy, you will be able to download them all into your system, because your body's, minds, emotions, energies are now attracting higher frequencies, attracting higher energies. At this moment when you are angry, frustrated, and you are resenting and fretting, only those vibrations are gradually rippling over from your brain to the rest of the other world. Now what good it can do, tell me? Those who are bad will become even worse. Those who are using their power to be more corrupt, they'll become even worse. Because our negative energies can only integrate and at the same time bring about more and more negative energies in the world. That's the reason why do you think we worship persons like Buddha? The simple reason is this. The power of compassion, the power of stable mind, the power of being anchored into your spiritual self brings about manifold power of your positive mind to generate inside of you, and then its vibrations are spread all over. So those people in this world who are working with positive energy, those people who are trying to bring about a positive change in this world, these vibrations of positivism in you, prayerfulness in you, compassion in you, love in you, each of these higher forces will generate inside of you through your meditation, surrender, love, and they will spread all over. Because whatever is generated in our system, it is not contained in our system. It always just goes all over. We are like fish in an universal, in a huge ocean of consciousness. So nothing can be contained within our skull. It spills over. So first set right yourself. If you want to see a change in the world of politicians and all their ugly things that are happening all over the world, then first and foremost, you try to bring about a changed mode of your seeing, understanding, deciphering. And you try to bring about such a stable ground of your mind from where you can send forth only positive vibrations like the great sages and seers would do, like the great saints would do. They are not going to be fretting and frustrating and talking about what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong. They are not going to talk about it. They know what's wrong, but at the same they know to bring about a change in the wrong, there is only one way: to be anchored in my right. And that right is in the center of my being. So if I'm anchored in the center of my being, if I become more spiritually oriented, if I'm deeply connected to my spiritual self, I can support those who are already in the spiritual world, in a good world, in a positive world. and then intensify their activities, intensify their efforts toward creating a better world. This is the way you go. This is the only way you can take care of it. And we'll take yet another question. My pain is the Baba Pranam, how can I control my anger in front of that person who is the cause of my anger? Well, Soheli, this is very simple. That person is not the cause of your anger. Your cause of anger is yourself. It is your practice of anger. It is your attitude of anger. It is the poison of anger which is inside of you that is provoked by today X, tomorrow Y, day after tomorrow Z. Any person from outside can provoke anger in you if the poison of anger, the seed of anger, to be angry, that is inside of Soheli. You have to first make sure there is nobody in this world who is causing anger to you. It is you who are causing anger to yourself. And when you cause anger to yourself, you always will try to find something objective, something outside it, someone other than you. And that's the reason some people will come to provoke love in you. Some people will come to provoke anger and enmity in you. But both the two people, they are coming, one to offer you love for which you feel loved, one who feel completely a sense of rejection, indifference, and even something that you don't expect that other person to do. All external provocations, all these external impetus, they come to you, but how you are interpreting is absolutely yours. So a person can throw a stone on you, but how you are seeing that stone being thrown at you, how you are going to tackle it, how you are going to see it, how you are going to manage it is completely yours. You can turn that very situation into such a beautiful, uplifting state of your own mind, that this stone is thrown on my ego, but this stone is not thrown on me, because I am not my ego. If I am hurt, only my ego can be hurt. My soul cannot be hurt, because my soul is like the sky. If I throw stone on the sky, I cannot at any cost reach the sky with my stone. So a person can throw indifference and anything that is much contrary to your expected behavior or words or anything from the other person. Make sure, don't always try to put your finger outside. I'm just asking you not even to point the finger inside. I'm just saying, become aware that deep inside, this man has been doing it, or this person has been doing it, or this girl has been doing it for a long period of time, and that's the reason I have already gotten into a particular habitual pattern of my mind to react. And the moment I see such a person, it automatically starts to act differently in my mind. Now, if you can change your mind from inside, that same person can throw stone upon you. It will not touch anything but your skin. Deep inside, you will remain untouched like a tortoise. A tortoise, the moment it expects some threat, it just simply pulls out its limbs inside. You can strike hard on your external shell, but you cannot reach the turtle. You cannot reach the tortoise. It is deep inside. So also you cannot be in any way hurt until such time you agree to be hurt. Until such time you have accepted the fact that you are an ego self. And the moment you become your spiritual self, then you can be as happy as a person who is loving you. Because that person has come to test yourself. Are you an ego or a person anchored in your being? So try to practice it. These are two high philosophies. I do agree with you, but at the same time, tell me, what other alternatives do you have? Tit for tat is no answer, so I can't even go in that way. Secondly, how can I change the other person so easily if that other person is continuously working from a particular set pattern which is already groomed into the brain. That other person cannot change it so easily. At least let me try to change myself. If the other person is not able to do it, let me change myself. And if I can change myself, the other person doesn't make any difference to me anymore, because with the changed glasses, I will not see the same anger, frustration anymore in the other person. My pain is a threat that poses to the movement of good and creativity possibility in the world, and the immense suffering that will inevitably cause. It is so hard to remember that my anger only feeds the negative effort in the world. So the central practice is offering my anger up in prayer to life, with the prayer for transformation, healing, wisdom and understanding. Precisely, Ma, precisely. Because just imagine, anger is not anger, frustration is not frustration, anything wrong is not wrong. You are basically talking in terms of energy. You name it any way you want, but either it will be a positive energy or it will be a negative energy. You can name hundreds of variations of positive energy. You can name thousands of variations of negative energy, but deep inside they are energies. My point is simple. If you want to bring about a change in the external energy patterns, you must change your internal energy pattern. That's my final conclusion. For anything and everything in life, if you want to see a change outside, may it be in the domain of politics, may it be in the domain of economics, may it be domain of any social problems, may it be in the domain of any injustices, unfairness, terrible things happening in the world of religions and everything. My point is, how long would you feed your anger inside, frustration inside, resentment inside? All these things are going from bad to worse. Now you keep on feeding yourself with all these wrong vibrations, and basically what do you want to do? You want to see a better world, but deep inside you are living in a very, very painful, suffering world. So offer all this pain and suffering, all this that is happening inside of you, because you are so empathetically connected with so many people who are suffering in this world. Bring all their sufferings. If you are thinking that is what you are going through, allow all these sufferings to be offered to the dynamics of these divine forces, so that the divine can transform them, not your frustrations and your resentments and angers. You basically walk through a satellite system. You walk through a satellite system. You send all your vibrations to the satellite, and that's the divine. Your satellite is your guru. Your satellite is the divine, the God. You send all the complaints put together in a bunch and offer it to the divine, and allow your whole body, your whole mind to be in a state of absolute quiet, calm, compassionate state. Allow these positive energies to just ripple through your brain, ripple through your mind, and reach out to the farthest shores of not only this world but every other loka, so that you are blessed. And those who are suffering, they also find your positive energy as a part of their own growth process. I hope this is clear, and thank you all for this wonderful evening that you have gifted me here. But Anma is in the morning there in the Portland, Oregon. All of you, please make sure these satsangs that I have with you is only meant for you to think little deep inside of you, so that you can experience a more calmer, more peaceful, more loving, more caring, more nurturing, a world that is inside beautiful and outside obviously has to be beautiful. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.